So I'm gonna give you an update on what's going on with the Fbg Duck and the Oblock 5 RICO indictment. Lawyers today were pretty much just arguing on not having the gun expert pretty much testify on the ballistics of the gun or whatnot. They're trying to argue, but the argument was denied. I'm gonna read you guys the paperwork. You guys can listen to this, and I'll give you a full breakdown after I finish reading the paperwork.
Charles Liggins, defendants. Defendants Christopher Thomas and Charles Liggins filed a motion to exclude expert testimony regarding firearm tool mark analysis. The motion is denied. The government's tool mark expert will be permitted to testify subject to the limitations set forth below. Background defendants. Thomas and Liggins are awaiting trial on murder and conspiracy charges stemming from the shooting of Fbg Duck and two other persons on Oak Street in Chicago, allegedly as members of an alleged criminal enterprise known as Oblock. The government intends to call Karen Tucker from the Illinois State Police Forensic Science Command to testify as an expert regarding firearm and tool mark comparisons that were conducted on firearms and casings. Tool mark analysis is premised on the theory that tools used in the manufacture of a firearm leave distinct marks on various firearm components, such as bullets and casings. The distinct marks are called tool marks. These markings fall into three categories. 1. Class characteristics, markings inherent in all weapons of the same model. 2. Subclass characteristics, markings that are produced incidental to manufacture. And 3. Individual characteristics, markings that are unique to that object and distinguish it from all others. Tool mark analysis is used to distinguish between the second and third categories, in essence to determine whether a bullet or casing was fired from a particular firearm. It can also be used to determine whether two bullets or casings were fired from the same firearm. Here, several casings were found on the ground on Oak Street, and another casing was found in the windshield well of a vehicle that had allegedly been at the scene of the shooting. 1. The firearm was found in a separate location and analyzed against the casings. Ms. Tucker is expected to opine 1. On the general operations of firearms. 2. About the firing process and the effects of the high-pressure system inside a firearm barrel on the fired bullet and cartridge. 3. About tool marks, how they are made and what they mean. 4. About tool mark and firearm analysis tests with which she is familiar generally. And 5. The tests she conducted here and her conclusions. Ms. Tucker's conclusions are 1. That 6 cartridge casings recovered from the street near 70 East Oak Street were fired from the same recovered pistol as to which she tested fire test rounds. 2. That she would not expect another firearm to make the exact same marks identified on a shell casing or bullet. And 3. That certain shell casings and or bullets were fired from the same firearm. ID. The government has stated that she will not express her conclusions are absolute or made with 100% certain. Defendants Thomas and Liggins moved to exclude Ms. Tucker's opinions on the grounds that tool mark analysis is unreliable. Defendants argue Ms. Tucker's application of the AFTE method in this case was unreliable because the communication between Chicago detectives and the Division of Forensic Services was improper and suggestive. At 10, defendants argue that the evidence submission form for the Chicago Police Department that detectives submitted to the Division of Forensic Services for firearm tool mark analysis included details such as who the suspects were and where casings and a firearm were recovered.
Pay close attention.
10. Defendants argue that law enforcement fed the names of all the defendants, their IR and SID numbers, and where the casings were found to the Division of Forensic Services. ID. Finally, defendants contend that the form also indicated that a firearm was found on another person, not any defendant in the case, who was charged with illegally possessing the firearm.
So the motion was denied. They're going to allow the forensic expert to go up there and testify. Now, their argument is also saying that one of the guns that was found on another person illegally matches the same gun that was used in a crime scene. And it also matches the casings that were found on the windshield of the car. The lawyers are just filing motions trying to argue for the forensics not to be able to testify, which is crazy. Along with the fact that the gun was found on another person, but it does match the casings. Now, if this person was to decide to snitch on who they got the gun from, and they actually did get it from an Oblock member, then it's a wrap, right? But then again, guns run around the city and all that stuff. Who knows if one of those guns that Swiper was questioning about was one of the reasons why Kenny Mack was calling people, and texting him, trying to swap guns and whatnot. They swap guns, and next somebody else will swap guns, and next the gun is still in the city. Whatever happened to getting rid of the gun, and that's it. That's what happens when dudes be trying to still get a gun for a gun and just lie about what the gun is really involved in, right? Get rid of the fucking gun, bro. Simple as that. So y'all know how we coming, man. That's what happened during the court hearing today with the Fbg Duck and Oblock 5 RICO trial hearing. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Subscribe to my backup channel as well. Omega Drip goes in. Bossy you till it's skitty.